So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any conversation, discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I see Mayor Foster's here.
No matter which way.
Whichever one you feel comfortable with.
This was closer. There, now we're on. Thanks for having me out here this morning. It's good to get out after the weather we've had, and it's nice to see no snow on the roads. Had just a few little things I wanted to update you about. You've probably heard the county finance director had moved on after well over 30 years. That's a very important piece of the puzzle, and it was a big loss, but Nathan retired, but we have had an extensive search and hired a fellow named Aaron Elmore. He is here local, had great experience, and he's already started at the beginning of January, and he's doing a fabulous job for us, so we're excited about that. Our codes department, we've talked about it several times out here. It is operational, so we are up and going. Only minor little blips, I'm sure, to start out. We can't take a credit card yet, but we're close. Other than that, everything's good. We've sold permits and done inspections already, so they've hit the ground running out there. Quick building update, county archives. It is finally underway after 7, 8 years of discussion. Our archives building, if you're downtown over by the library, you'll notice that the back half of the building has been removed. It was the newer portion, but it was the worst portion as far as quality goes. So that's come off. We're about to build the back up on that and have a renovation project with that. And all of the courthouse repairs, structural repairs, and renovation bids are in and approved. And who knew, but they both came in under our estimated price. So we're very, very pleased with that. It's still expensive, but we are going to be able to handle that in-house or without a loan. So we're doing well. The only other thing, you've probably heard a little bit about Flat Rock, just to show, they've got the first membership portion layers of their track laid, and around Christmas they were actually giving some rides around the track. So it's moving quickly. They've got villas they're going to be building and some other residential areas on it. So it is moving and it's picking up. That is all I have. If you have any questions, Nico.
Could you give us an update on any new commercial properties that you're aware of coming to Cumberland County? And number two, is the county going to make a contribution to our EMS fire station building? Thank you. And thank you for showing up today.
Yep. Glad to be here. There's nothing I can think of right now, commercial, that would be ready for an announcement or anything like that. We do receive RFPs all the time that we respond to, and we'll just see how those go. As far as the EMS building, we've talked a little bit with different ones along the years about what the county should do there. I know the last one that I recall was in Crab Orchard, and the Crab Orchard built a fire / EMS hall, and the county paid a portion of that as well, so I would assume something like that would happen, but when it comes straight down to it, it'll be a commission decision, but I would expect that there would be some sort of contribution towards that, since we do use it to provide services. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did notice that Colleen Mull and Joe Sherrill are both here. You want to raise your hands? Do you have anything that you guys want to say? No, I sure don't. No? The mayor's a tough act to follow. That's what that means. Okay. And I got to follow him right now, so it's even tougher for me. Okay, so I'm going to go through the across the board for January. You'll hear a lot of these topics discussed further when we get into the agenda. So some of the things, if you have questions, I'd like to ask you to wait till the end of the meeting or when we talk about the topics so that you can get your questions in. General Manager, Interim Director of Finance search updates. So we've got 3 searches going on. GSI has presented the board with a filtered list of candidates to consider for the GM position. Scott McNett, the principal working for GSI on our placement, has told us that he has been very impressed with the amount of interest by well-qualified candidates, and he's also said that the reputation of Fairfield Glade remains strong in the industry. I'm going to add a little bit to that. The board is in the process of reviewing these resumes and will choose somewhere between 4 and 6 of the candidates to be interviewed via a video call, phone call type of technology over the next couple of weeks. The next step after the interview will be to have on-site interviews with the final candidates and then make a selection. So that's moving along just the way we'd hope it would be. And tomorrow is the date that the board will review those candidates. We're doing that tomorrow afternoon. So that's kind of the schedule we are on for that. The board contracted with Club Leadership Alliance to fill the position of the interim director of finance. Jonathan Goodman joined us on January 15th as the interim director of finance. If that name seems familiar to some of you, it is likely because he served as the director of finance for Fairfield Glade from late 2015 until early 2018. He is planning on attending the February 2024 board workshop and board meetings, so he'll be here that week. The board is planning on contracting with GSI Executive Search to help us recruit the next director of finance for Fairfield Glade. The proposed contract will be presented to the board at this meeting to enter into the agreement for that purpose. Scott McNett, the senior principal assigned to our GM search, will also lead the director of finance search, and the initial time estimates would have us filling the director position in the May-June 2024 timeframe. We'll continue to provide updates as we move through these candidate searches and selection processes. The facility reserve study. The board, with input and in collaboration with the senior management team, is in the process of updating the specific yearly needs for the funding and the execution schedule, as well as the responsibilities and the processes for withdrawing funds from the reserve account. We will continue to provide updates as we move forward with the plan. Members who would like to share comments regarding the facilities reserve can reach out by sending email messages to Bruce Horn at treasurer@fairfieldglade.cc. The Strategic Planning Committee continues to incorporate suggestions from the December Strategic Plan review with the Board of Directors. Plans are to complete the revisions to this plan and communication materials by the end of the first quarter. The committee is also reviewing other key initiatives, primarily the reserve study, the drills, and Druid Hills projects, to coordinate key messages. Given the volume of change occurring over the past several months, it is important that the teams work together to ensure goals, activities, and communications are aligned across the key initiatives. Members who would like to share comments regarding the strategic planning initiative can reach out by sending email messages to the team at strategicplanning@fairfieldglade.cc. Information concerning the strategic planning team is also available on the Community Club website. Annual food and beverage survey. The annual resident food and beverage survey was sent out January 3rd by the Bobby Jones Links to gather feedback on the food and beverage operations for 2023. The survey includes feedback for Stonehenge Grill and all snack bar outlets. To date, 1,200 responses have been received, and data from the responses is being compiled, and results will be shared in the near future. Director of Food and Beverage update. Bobby Jones Links is in the process of identifying the new director of F&B. They have placed the position on their website and are canvassing internal candidates in the Bobby Jones Links network as well. They hope to have someone placed in the position by the end of February. In the meantime, staff representatives from all corporate offices will be on site weekly to ensure continuity of service to our members and guests. Stonehenge Grill schedule change. Starting February 5th, Stonehenge Grill will be closed on Monday and open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Tuesday through Saturday, and open Sunday from 8 a.m. to 2 until further notice. Druid Hills project. The putting course and driving range work continues to progress as weather permits. Concrete has been poured for the hitting mats, and conduit for future lighting and speakers has been installed. Work has started on the target volcano greens on the driving range, and the irrigation system installation will start once the material is delivered. The Performance Center design is complete and the contractor has been selected. The capital authorization request has been reviewed by the Financial Advisory Committee and will be presented today for the board approval. The CAR, which is the capital authorization request, is for $950,000 compared to the budget of $1 million. Architect Vic Jones was on property January 11th and 12th. He met with the golf, F&B, and steering committees to discuss the interior plans for the clubhouse and the surrounding grounds. Vic will draft an initial layout over the next couple of weeks for continued discussion and refinement in preparation for a town hall, which we hope to hold by the end of March or the beginning of April. Members who would like to share additional comments regarding the Druid Hills project can reach out to the Druid Hills Steering Committee and subcommittees by sending email messages to these committees at druidhillsprojects@fairfieldglade.cc. Information concerning the Druid Hills project is also available on the Community Club website. Emergency Services Complex update. Responses from 3 architectural firms for the request to the request for proposal for architectural services were reviewed by members of the Major Capital Projects Committee, MCPC, and a recommendation was presented to the representatives from the Community Club Board, the Fire Department, and the Fire Department Board on December 4th. The group has recommended that AEI of Cookeville be approved to conduct the architectural design and engineering work for the project. A capital authorization request is scheduled for the board to consider at this meeting. The architectural design work will reflect the initial building requirements, and the architect will create planning documents to determine the actual size of the proposed building and an estimated cost for the project. Once the final design of the building is completed, the location of the new emergency services complex will be determined. The group has recommended that AEI of Cookeville be approved to conduct the architectural design and engineering work for the project. Wildwood Stables update. Members have until February 2nd to apply for the Wildwood Stables Planning Committee. The purpose of the committee will be to research and present recommendations to the board for the future of Wildwood Stables starting in January of 2025. If you are interested in applying, you can pick up an application at the admin building. This is our January update from across the board. Okay. Bruce.
No, now it is. Good morning. No snow today, so this is a good news. This is the last report for 2023. This is December. And I'll start by saying that, as you can imagine, being the last report of the... Oh, sorry. As you can imagine, this being the first of the year, and this will be the last of the year of 2023 report, things are starting to get pretty hectic. So I'm looking forward to having Jonathan get here shortly to relieve some of the pressure on all of us trying to get things done. Let me start by saying, again, we are in good financial shape. The balance sheet says in sewer we have $3,729,527 total cash compared to $4,773,589 at the end of 2022. Now that's a negative variance of $1,044,062. For the Property Owners Association and amenities, we have $4,259,057 of capital cash plus $7,479,399 of operating cash for a total of $11,738,456. POA and amenities cash compared to, and that's POAs and amenities cash compared to $9,453,000 $403,810 at the end of 2022. Puts us in a positive variance of $2,334,546. Cash flow. Sewer ended 2023 with a positive cash flow of $590,022, with a year-to-date negative variance of $25 compared to budget. That's pretty tight. That's pretty good. Revenue for 2023 was favorable, $9,456, primarily, as mentioned in a number of previous reports, to lower commercial fees of $18,600 due to the budget being based on overestimated revenue, which was based on the fourth quarter 2022 consumption that included 2 undetected water leaks. We hope not to have that statement in anything you see next year. This negative commercial fee offset is offset by a positive variance in tap fees of $37,600. Revenue, materials, and supplies were positive to budget of $27,800 due to favorable costs related to grinder pumps, while repair and maintenance was negative to $65,800, driven by unfavorable equipment expenditures. I believe there was a couple of trucks that went sour on us, and that's one of those surprises. That's why you get all these variances. Stuff happens no matter how tight we try to make our budgets. So it upsets everybody, particularly SMTs that get yelled at for it. So, Property Owners Association ended 2023 with a negative cash flow of $246,142, which is a positive variance of $218,541 compared to budget, and that's driven by positions not filled as budgeted and savings in fewer hours with less overtime, resulting in a positive variance of $440,800. Road paving contributed an additional $120,000 to the positive variance. And again, those are the things, you put positions in and we can't fill them. So people tighten up, work harder, and contribute their times to make us look good and keep everything running. It's a great group of people. Amenities ended the year with a positive cash flow of $1,058,933, which is a positive variance of $599,557, better than budget. Food and beverage is a positive variance to budget of $193,333,000, while golf was a positive budget of $390,157, driven by 8,112 rounds favorable to budget. It's another one of those, we can't control the weather, so that helped out a lot. Overall, POA and amenities ended the year with a positive cash flow of $812,791, which is $812,098 better than budget. And I'm sure there'll be some questions, and if I don't have ready answers, we'll find somebody and we'll have them as soon as possible.
Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, a few questions. So,
Could you introduce yourself?
yeah, Tom Ratcliffe.
Turn the microphone so
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
This is what we call audience participation.
Which is good. Let's go to the amenities, if you will, Bruce. And it's one of the big ones that you mentioned. Let's talk about the positive variance for golf, $390,000. If you wouldn't mind, if you could humor me and go to, in your packet, if you could go to page number 7, and this might be a question for Russ, I'm not sure. So we have the, in the golf executive summary, near the bottom in the middle, under actual, there are 18-hole rounds equivalent, 158,495, against a budget of 142,500, a variance of 15,995, not 8,112, as the report said. So, one, I'm curious why that big difference. Because then by my calculations, that would have supported $769,000 better in revenue on golf than what we're showing. So that first question is, I'm not sure what's accurate. The second question that I have is, again, let's go to this is by way of example on our budgeting. Our budget on that same page for golf was 142,500 rounds of golf. In 2022, we finished the year for rounds of golf at 150,883. I'm not sure why we would start a budget 8,000 rounds less than what we did the previous year. And again, when we're trying to tighten up things like the variance and so forth, my calculation on that, just in how it would affect the revenue side, again, my estimation, somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000, or excuse me, $403,000. Why do I bring that up? $403,000, and we raised dues in 2023, which generated over $300,000 in revenue. If we had a budget that reflected what a realistic goal, just for golf, we may not have had to at least raise the dues for what we were using the money for, if you get my impression. So it's an example, and again, I'm hoping that the board will address that and tell us what we're doing to kind of correct that action.
Bruce, you want me to take it?
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. In terms of the golf surplus from last year, 142,500 rounds were budgeted. We had 158,000. The main reason for that surplus was the packages, which were up 23% for the year, and also preferred member rounds were up 3% per year. The 24 budget for rounds is $148,000. Oh, I'm sorry, 148,000 rounds, excuse me. Additionally, we had weather, good weather, which helped. Generally speaking, when you have positive weather trends, you don't want to budget for the maximum on that in a given year. I cannot speak for how the 2023 budget was developed compared to the 2022 numbers. Bruce may have some insight into that, but those are the main reasons for the variance in the area of golf.
I'm going to speak to a little bit on the 2024 budget, okay? Because this was a major conversation with the board about the rounds of golf. Matter of fact, we had more than one meeting on this with Jeff. You'll remember, hopefully, when you saw the fees and the budget presentation, we raised golf fees for packages $10 a round. That's a lot more than we raised members. One of the things we don't know is what the impact of that decision is going to be on the packages coming in. We could see a decrease in that. And what we're projecting is our best guess based on Jeff's conversations with the major vendors that do the packages of what they think they're going to bring in this year. Now, we always hope, and this is important for, I think, the community to understand, we always hope we beat our estimates. And that's not a budget issue. That's an issue of really incenting our people to go out and get more revenue in. And we don't want to say, well, we met our 148,000 rounds, so therefore we're good, we don't have to do anything more. As a matter of fact, when we start talking about performance management down the road and some of the objectives and that type of thing that Russ has been working with the SMTs on, we are moving more and more to what we call, what I would call the major goal being a gap improvement. And the gap improvement means more revenue, less expense. So for me, and I may be the only person around the room, but I doubt that, the budget that we present, we do our best in terms of estimating, but we're trying to incent the behaviors that we would do that would raise revenue and lower expenses. So for me, the budget is a good number at 12:01 a.m., January 1st, 2024. By January 1st, 11:59 p.m., it's going to be different because things happen. And we want to incent the behavior, Tom. We don't want people to say, well, you met your budget, you can stop. So we're always going to push, and we hope, to be honest with you, that we continue to have positive variances like that. Not because we don't want to raise the rates, but if we had not had that positive variance, the rates would have gone up a lot more than what they did. So it's a two-edged sword here, and you try to be as good as you can in your planning with the budget, but at the same time, being realistic in the behavior we're trying to incent throughout the organization, we hope we have continued variances like that. Okay?
Greg, I understand and thank you. We want to set that behavior. My point, I think you're taking, and the board is getting a little bit just concerned about my comment on it. So if you look at, and all I'm asking is that we look at realistic goals. When you set 2023, a budget of 142,000 rounds, 8,000 less than you did the previous year, and you even surpassed that, one has to question the goal. You also have to go back in time. 2021, we finished the year at 148,000 rounds. We set the budget at 141. Okay? We went down again. So when we're talking the behavior, I get it. And I want to see surpluses too. So we use the surpluses for things like the operating reserve and so forth. I got that. All I want you to do is help me understand how we're setting those goals and how they are realistic in the board's mind. That's what I'm asking.
Okay. Any other questions on the treasurer's report?
My name is Ted Landers, and I take exception with Tom's comment that the board shouldn't be raising the members' assessments. This board has a financial fiduciary for the ongoing of this association. It is not smart to think that the expenses of this $27.9 million organization are not going to have cost of living increases. It is the board's responsibility, in my opinion, to at least raise the dues, the cost of living every year in order so that we can continue to maintain this place. Our Social Security checks go up, cost of living, everything else is going up. Our expenses for our employees, if we want to keep good employees, we have to pay them. So I would take exception with the fact that we shouldn't raise the dues in order to be able to do cost of living. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Any other comments, questions for the treasurer's report? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move into the interim general manager's report.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so for those of you who were not here last time, I started a report called Red Flags and Green Flags. Red flags meaning things that are not going quite as well as we would like. Green flags means trends that are going in a good direction. So a few from this past month, and a couple of these are repeaters I'm still working on with the board and staff, and that is roles and responsibility of the board and the SMTs need clarity. This is one of the main objectives that I've got as an interim to try to work and help with, and advise for the future. There's an opportunity for education regarding funding of capital and reserves. This is something that we've had some more dialogue about. We know that's a need. I've discussed this with Jonathan, and we're going to have some information for you to look at very soon that I think will be beneficial. Key initiative focus needs prioritization. The board has a lot of initiatives going on right now, and we have to be careful not to have a diffused focus as we go forward. For example, the strategic plan is going on. The reserve study is going on. We've started review of the CNRs. There's a GM search going on, the roles and responsibilities, which I've already mentioned in projects, just to name a few, and there's a lot of other ones. So this is something we're working on to try to see things to fruition and make them effective. All of you experienced Mother Nature in the last week, 9 inches of snow and several inches of rain this week, so it was difficult. And also with the hard freeze, it really limited our members' ability to get out and enjoy things, and we couldn't open for some period of time. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully we're getting back to normal, and y'all can go out on the golf course soon. And the audiovisual systems, they're not really what they need to be. We've got a gentleman here from Broadway today giving a test on a cycle. We know there's a need to improve that. When you think about it, we've got at least 40 public forums per year. Board meetings, the workshops, and then a number of different special meetings. So this is not going to be something that's just going to be a one and done. We have to consider that, and it's not just you attending this meeting, it's also those who may be hearing it from remote locations. So it needs to be clear. We've had some glitches and some issues. We're going to try to identify the best system going forward that's going to help with that, and hopefully that'll be an improvement that you can enjoy in the future if the board supports that. Some things that are going better. Number one, Mr. Bruce Evans is deferring his retirement till April of 25. Very happy about that. Angie Clanton has done a fine job as the controller in January, stepping up during this transition. She's looking forward to having Jonathan involved and helping to move forward and help the club on the finance side. We had an initial Meet the Team event. I mentioned that at the last meeting. That's something, if you're not familiar with that concept, we're trying a new way to orient members who have bought property in the last 2 years that have not had that orientation. And this is something that they've specifically been invited to. We had to postpone it because of the weather, but we've got it rescheduled for early February, and then we're going to do another one in late February. There's also been some suggestions to expand that out to maybe going back to COVID times. All those things can be considered, but we're going to hopefully do a better job of integrating those members so that they can enjoy the club more frequently and ideally lead to them maybe inviting their friends to buy real estate here. So that's the objective. The part-time communications manager that I mentioned, we were studying. We're getting close to rolling that out. We're not quite ready to announce the person yet, but the idea would be we're intending to move that forward on a part-time role, hopefully in February, and that'll help initially with the consistency of email communications, helping to monitor the frequency of those communications because you're getting too many of those right now, and also become a gatekeeper. We need a better job and better, more consistent communications. There's a lot of authors right now, and we're working on that. So there's a lot of things that this role can go into in the future if it's expanded to a full-time role, but we're going to try to start slowly and then move it forward. And since the last meeting, I think you might remember that was one of the issues that we had for a red flag was goal setting, performance management. That has been accomplished since the last meeting. Amber Black, the Director of Human Resources, and I have collaborated with the individuals on the S&T team and also working with the board on that. So those are in place for 24. So we think that's a good thing. There are going to be 2 to 3 goals per individual that are more individual or growth related. And then there's a team goal for each one of them that everybody contributes towards. And Greg spoke to that a little bit, which helps the long-term vibrancy of the club and the health of the club. So those are in place. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
I'm going to add one thing to Russ's report. And by the way, we don't filter Russ's report. We let him talk about whatever it is he wants to talk about. So you're getting what his perspective is from the operations group, and that would include, I'm sure, conversations with the S&Ts and other management. So that's an important perspective for the people to hear, besides just what we have to say as board members. But I want to tag on one thing. This is important with performance appraisals because I believe for the first time since I've been on the board, SMTs will have their goals that are quantified before the end of January. That gives them 11 months, and since the discussions really started in December and they kind of knew where these were going, it actually gives them almost 13 months to really start working on those things that we think are important for them to be looking at in their areas. And that's a big jump, because if we can get ahead of that and we can get those goals set and we get buy-in for that with the SMTs and their organizations, we got a much better chance of achieving them. So this is not a slow news item, and it's going to filter down even more this year and probably even get better next year. But this is an important piece, because this is also where our key employee incentive comp is going to be going, because the goals are going to be quantifiable in terms of what we're setting with Russ's and the SMT's help, and it's just going to keep rolling on. So this is an important piece, and it should hopefully contribute, Tom, to more positive variances that we like, with reduced expenses and increased revenue. And there's a push on both of those this year, not just one. So I really thank the work that the SMTs and Russ did on that particular project, because it's going to have a meaningful outcome for us. Okay. Resort report, Barb.
Good morning. Wyndham timeshare visitors, month to date to 2024, that would be through the end of December, was 1,158 visitors. And for 2023, there were a total of 68,661 timeshare visitors. As far as lake revenue, the center generated the month of December, $13,299, which was a total for the year of $168,708, which is 31%. The Racket Center, $699, total of $25,124, which was 7%. Dartmoor Marina is closed in December, was a total of $118,279, which was 39%. St. George, which is closed in December, was $91,000, total $476, average of 43%. And golf for the month of December, $2,770. Total for the year was $720,905, which was 9%. Food for the month of December was $13,215. A total for the year $418,106, which was 13%. So for a total, $29,982 for the month of December, and a total for the year of 2023, $1,542,598, which is a average of 12%. As you can see, our timeshare visitors have contributed over $1.5 million to the community club. Thank you.
Nico?
Nico Sergio, been a community club member since April of 2005. Let's look at the center for December. It's $13,299. The timeshare people, I think, pay $750 a month for use of the pool, the gym, and that. So is that what that figure is? And then on top of it, it's if they play pickleball, or is the $750 a month included in this $13,000?
I'm not positive of that. I would imagine that it would be toward it.
The answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
So then it would just be that plus playing pickleball or
Right.
maybe some other things. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions? Go on.
So go to the center, and it was 168,000 this year. Last
Yes.
year it was 18,000. Great job that it's up. What do we do to increase that revenue by such a big number?
Last year, the total was only 18. I believe the report was done incorrectly. That couldn't possibly be true from last year.
Yeah. We can go ahead and confirm those numbers, but the fact of the matter is there was quite a bit of uptick. There was a lot more activities going on here this year. There are things like additional movies. There were some other activities and events that the center had put on to increase participation over here. I don't have the details in front of me, but I'm certainly happy to go get them, and we can see that increase. Yeah.
Any other questions for the resort? Hearing none, Sam?
Good morning. The Architectural Controls Report, and this will just encompass all of 2023 and compare it to 2022. For miscellaneous approval, changes to established homes for 2023 was 1,918, and for 2022 was 1,692. New homes for 2023 were 1,119, and for 2022 was 119. Sorry. And for, yes, we've been busy. And through December of 2022 is 124. For new homes completed, we also have for 2023 119, and for 2022 it was 118. Is there any questions concerning that report? I'm also submitting to the Board of Directors today to be posted on the website for review is a revision to the tree policy. The tree policy has been gone through by the Architectural Controls and approved by the Architectural Controls Committee for submittal to the Board of Directors. It'll be on the website for some time, and at the next meeting, any feedback that we have for the tree policy will be considered by myself and the ACC and the board, and based on that, at the next meeting, it'll be approved, it'll be revised, or it'll be removed. All right, so that'll be on the website later on today. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, there's no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. I'll talk a minute about the contract that we're proposing for GSI for the search for the Director of Finance. This is actually an add-on to the work that GSI is doing with the GM work. It's basically the same agreement with a couple small changes. The one difference that would make a difference, don't mean make a difference, but that is different is the contract anticipates that this will be done in a much shorter time. And based on the experience that we're having with the GM search, and I'll be honest with you, I thought it was going to take longer than what GSI told us, but they're following the schedule and they're right on point where they thought they would be, which is a very good thing for us because it means we get our new GM in earlier. Sorry, Russ, you get out of here earlier. But so that's been very good for us, and we're going to continue on with them. The contract is for $30,000, and there's no add-ons to that other than just the finding of the Director of Finance candidates. So,
I've got an answer on that.
hold on. So, with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the authorization for signing that contract.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we'll sign that agreement. Why don't we get through these and
You want to go
come
through all
back to
these
you
first?
again.
Okay.
All right. Bruce, you're on. Or, I'm sorry, David, you're on.
No, I was just saying. You want the,
Bruce Evans is on.
expert up here. You don't
Well,
want me up here.
I thought when I said Bruce, I'd see three names of people will pop up, but,
Good morning. So this morning I'm presenting a CAR for $5,895 for McGill Engineering to do design work and permitting for sewer extension along St. George Drive on the east side of Westchester to Tawny Oak Circle, around Tawny Oak Circle, and down Fox Den Court off of Tawny Oak Circle. Budget of $200,000, of which $20,000 is earmarked for engineering and permitting. This is one of 3 sewer extension projects we have planned for this year. This is just for the engineering and permitting. I'll present the construction CAR to the board after we receive permitting from TDEC. The project will be constructed using in-house labor. Any questions?
Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the CAR.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Bruce.
No.
Oh, no, David.
No.
Again,
no
I
more
keep
Bruce.
wanting to get him up there.
again, you want the experts up here talking about me.
Number one, I'm not Bruce.
Thank God.
So I have 3 CARs to present. All 3 went before the Financial Advisory Committee last week and were approved. And the recommendations that the MCPC made on who would be awarded the project were agreed to. So these are recommendations at this point to the board. The first, as Greg has already mentioned, is for the Golf Performance Center at Druid. This is the second phase of the overall Druid project to construct and furnish the Golf Performance Center. So the request is for $950,000. The capital budget for this year is $1 million. So we're $50,000 under the budget. So are there any questions? We did have 3 bids on this project. We're going with the low bidder, and we're recommending the contract be awarded to East Tennessee Contractors, which is a local construction company. What were the
Come on up, Nico. People can't hear you on the screen.
Nico Sergio, I'd like to know what the other 2 bids were for, or the amount of the other 2 bids.
The second bidder was about $50,000 higher. Another local contractor. The third bid was from a contractor out of Livingston, and they were, well, I will say, is significantly higher.
Okay?
Ted Landers, in the final form, I had noticed in the restroom there was, I had noticed that there was only a stool but not a urinal in it, and I had written in and suggested that a urinal would be a good idea in order to keep the place cleaner, because guys are notorious for missing. Does it include a urinal in that bathroom?
So these are designed as unisex bathrooms. And as unisex bathrooms, we do not normally put urinals in that kind of a bathroom.
I think it would maintain the cleanliness, and I think women would appreciate it if there was a urinal installed there. And it's a relatively minor cost.
The problem is space. We would have to redesign the entire bathrooms and facility to accommodate that.
I think we'll regret that in the long run.
Okay. Any other questions on that particular car? Hearing none, I'll introduce or be welcoming a motion.
I make a motion to approve the $950,000 for the Performance Center at Druid.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. David, continue on.
All right. The next one is for bocce courts at Robin Hood Park. If you recall, back in 2023, we approved a PR at that time for 4 bocce ball courts. We had signed a contract with the contractor. He got out there and found we had significant problems with bad soil. And so the project was going to overrun what the board had approved. So we went back to the drawing board, and we're now recommending building 2 bocce courts, which is the exact same number of courts that the bocce club currently has. So this PR is for $360,000 to build 2 bocce courts. And it takes into account the work we're going to have to do in removing the bad soil and bringing back in good soil. Questions on that?
I would also make sure that you understand it's not just the bocce ball courts, there's sidewalks involved with this too, correct?
That's correct. So we are providing sidewalks along the new parking area that we put in there that will lead to the existing Robin Hood Park where there are restrooms, and it will also lead to the Veterans Memorial.
Okay. There are no other questions? I entertain a motion.
Yeah, the other thing I'd point out is this project was budgeted for $370,000, so it came in $10,000 less than budget. So I'll make a motion to approve the $360,000 for the 2 bocce courts.
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, the last one is for the architectural and engineering services for our new emergency services center. We got 3 bids on that. Again, we're recommending the low bidder, who is AEI of Cookville. We've worked with them on other projects recently. They've been a good source for us, very familiar with what we want. Their firm is involved right now in several fire station projects in Cookville, so they've got good experience. And so the recommendation is for $179,000 and awarding the contract to AEI. The budget is $250,000, so we're $71,000 under budget. Questions?
Hearing none?
Greg, I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve the $179,000 CAR for the architectural and engineering work on the emergency services building.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Before, oh yeah, Kate, you're up. Chief Selfs is here.
Thought you forgot. Good morning. I'm presenting a CAR for $51,000 for the purchase of a new 2024 F-350 vehicle for our fleet. The pricing will pay for the vehicle and also administrative emergency package. This $51,000 was previously approved in a capital expenditure for 2024.
Any questions? Nico?
and Nico Sergio. You said you were looking at an F-150?
It's a F-350. So the
Or an F-350.
reason for that vehicle is it's going to be our new critical response vehicle, and it also is going to be able to haul or trailer our current mobile command center. We have a vehicle that can tow it, but if we need to go long distance, it will not be able to do so. So that's why we are going to this 350.
Can it also be used for normal police?
Yes, yes. And that it's going to be a dual for a critical response and also for that purpose. Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Okay, I'll move to approve the $51,000 for the 2024 Police Department vehicle, and that $51,000 is the budgeted amount.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Before we move on to comments from the floor, I think Bruce has an answer to one of the questions here.
The answer was the reason that it shows up much higher this year is because...
What shows up much higher?
In regards to the timeshare increases. The fact of the matter is that in 2022, we did not include in the report the, let me say it clearly, in 2023, that report includes the $12,225 per month that the timeshares provide as income to the center. It includes their fees.
Okay, does that answer your question, Tom? Okay. Now,
$12,225
per month.
per month.
Okay. Any member comments from the floor?
Are you talking any comments or just?
Any. Well, we got Phil coming up first, and Ted, we'll get to you afterwards, okay?
Thank you. My name is Phil Smith, and I live at 144 Hickory Ridge Lane near Fairfield Glade. And I'm here for two reasons this morning, and both to express appreciation to the Fairfield Glade Community Club and the Board of Directors for the support that they've given to us in two situations. One, I'm on the Board of Directors now for the Volunteer Energy Cooperative. All right. Turn up my hearing aids. Anyway, I'm on the Board of Directors for the Volunteer Energy Co-op. And recently, we've gone through this cold weather, and it's been put a considerable strain on that entire system. And both TVA and VEC asked for voluntary load reduction throughout their district. And we asked the community club to send out an email to that effect. They did, and that certainly helped meet that peak load requirement. It's not the same thing as it was when we had Winter Storm Elliott a couple of years, or a year ago in December. A lot of improvements have been made in that distribution system since then, both by TVA and by VEC. There's still a lot of work to do. This time, some of the stuff worked. Like TVA has a reliance upon bringing power in outside of their operational area. And they were able to do that this time, but there are still issues out there. The biggest issue for VEC going forward, and I think TVA as well, but mostly VEC, is reliability. And there's a lot of things that go into that. It's not just engineering cost, but it's a lot of it's policy, a lot of politics involved in that. But VEC is very sensitive to that and working on that. But my point here, though, is just to thank the board for your help with that, because that certainly made a difference. The second thing that I wanted, well, and I want to mention one thing. Since I've been on the board, I've observed about VEC the incredible job that our linemen do. This past storm, if you saw on Facebook, there was an outage in Lake Tansy, and it was a feeder line coming into the substation at Lantham Road that served Lake Tansy. That's 85 feet in the air. That became disconnected. They had to bring in a bucket truck that had the capacity to reach that. It was 105 feet in the air. So these guys were out there at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 below zero, and they're at 105 feet. And there's pictures of it on the Facebook, so look at it. But anyway, that's just an example of the incredible work that's done by these people, and we owe them a lot. Second thing I want to bring up, and I'll do this real quick, is that I'm also involved with the Veterans and First Responders Memorial. I'm president of the board this year. And I want to thank you for sending out the recent email blast to the community concerning our brick program. That made a difference. We are now at a little over 450 bricks that we have sold. We anticipate by the time that we do our hope for dedication on Memorial Day, we'll have over 600 bricks. And so that's moving along really nicely. We have a contractor now that's going to start working on this. By the end of this month, it's all weather permitting now, but we've got everything put in place to start this. Our goal is by Memorial Day this year, we will have the foundation in, the bricks will be installed, the flags will be up. There'll be a lot more work after that, but it's taking shape. And the board of directors is committed that they're quality first on this. And we're not going to try to rush it. We're going to try to do it the right way. We only get one opportunity to do this. This is going to be something that's going to be a part of this community for decades. And so it's important that we get it right. And again, that's a good example of the collaboration and the partnership that we've had with the board. You've been with us all along from day one. It's a laborious process. We're committed, though, to raise the money privately as much as we can, and do it right. So I wanted to thank you for that, and that's all I got. So thank you. And we are going to do a town hall meeting sometime this spring where we'll update the community on our plans and as we go forward.
Excellent.
Any other comments? Ted?
Ted Landers, thanks. I want to thank the board for all the hard work that they do. I know they put in many, many hours every week to make this association go. A couple things. There was I hope everybody can hear me. There was a bylaw change provision going through, and that was a couple months ago that was out. Can you tell me what the status is of that, please?
I don't know of any. I'm not sure I know of any bylaw change.
Last month, we approved the change to the bylaws for member-initiated
Yes, that.
deals. Okay, that was approved last month, and the webpage will be updated shortly with the new language in it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That was what I was referring to. Also, there is a handout that's available at the St. George Marina, and I couldn't find it this morning before I came to the meeting, so bad on me for not better preparing. But it's a timeline of events that have occurred since this association began, and under each year it had 3 to 5 things, whatever it was. And it's actually very informative, you know, when the different golf courses started, when we purchased the 2 outstanding ones. And I think that's something that's very valuable to put on the website, and I think members would find that interesting. I know that there wasn't anything in there for the last 4 years, but it'd be relatively easy to update. But I think that would be a good addition to the website. And then one additional question. And this is going to be one of those topics people are going to roll their eyes at, but the fire department is a separate organization. I would like to know why we are providing $2.25 million for a new emergency service center. I understand the need for it, and I understand that we need fire protection. I have no issue with that. But why are we doing it? when they're a completely separate 401c corporation?
Ted, we provide the current building for them, okay? And we do that also for the EMS services that we get from the county. And we did if you recall, we did the land swap a while back to get the driving range for Druid. And part of that was that we traded the parcel where the current fire department is to Mr. Anderson in return for the driving range. And so that means that we need to find a new location for the fire department. That building is grossly inadequate.
It's a fire trap. It really is.
And so this is really an investment for the future of the community to have a facility for the fire department. Now, the fire department goes out and raises the capital for their truck. You just saw an announcement recently that they purchased a new truck, so they handle their capital expenses. We provide that 11,000. Did we go to 144? Yeah, we went to 144 this year for 2024, so there's 12,000 a month that we provide them for operating expenses, and then they take care of their capital. And so providing the building is part of what we would do for them for the future.
So has the board a contract with anybody to try and see if there's grant money available to try and offset this large expense?
Well, you have to remember now, this board, okay, is a 501c4, okay? The grant money that would be available to the fire department as a 501c3, okay? And or if you are a municipality. So there we wouldn't be an eligible participant in that. It would actually need to be driven by the fire department for grant money.
So have this board talked to them about trying to have them do grant money? I know they're working on grant money for interior items that they need, but the building is obviously a huge one, and that would certainly offset our costs.
Yeah, they know that they can go out and do that. Whether or not they will, I don't know that. We don't control the board there.
Yeah, that's a question you could go to the fire department and ask. I mean, we don't control what they do over there.
I understand you don't control them, but we control the money flow that keeps them operating, and it certainly would be to our benefit if we said, hey, why don't you hire somebody to do grant research, and we'll pay the dollars for that, because if they're able to be successful for that, it could save us a ton of money.
Our chief is in the audience. Perhaps he could tell us.
Thank you.
Hello, Kirk McLaughlin. We have a volunteer that does all of our grant research, and she does an amazing job. And there is a FEMA grant every year that we apply for equipment, turnout gear. There's not currently anything out there that's going to contribute to the fire station itself. It's more the gear and the equipment that we need to function. There's a state grant that we apply for every year for the same thing, but she does a good job of uncovering these things, but there's not anything out there right now for the station itself. But she's always looking, and I'm always looking to give her any help she needs, and she's done a good job of uncovering these grants.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the floor? If not, are there any comments from the board? You want to cover those questions? Any other comments from the board members? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all for coming out on this rainy day. Have a good day.
I appreciate it, yeah. It's not urgent.